In Kyoto's Gion district, narrow alleys wind between centuries-old tea houses and antique shops. Tourists browse lacquerware, kimono, and porcelain. But behind one particular shop's noren curtain, in a back room the public never enters, rests an object locals say should never be looked into. They call it the mirror that shows tomorrow's day. 1. The antique in the back room. The day was wet with early autumn rain, the kind that slicks the cobblestones until they shine like black glass. Kaito, an avid collector of old curios, ducked beneath the noren of a cramped antique shop to escape the drizzle. The air inside was thick with the smell of cedar and camphor, the shelves crowded with bronze incense burners, faded ukiyo-e prints, and porcelain fox masks. While the shopkeeper wrapped a purchase for another customer, Kaito wandered toward a narrow side corridor. At its end stood a sliding fusuma door, half open, revealing a dimly lit room lined with shelves of odd, unpriced items. In the center leaned a tall, ornate mirror framed in dark lacquered wood. Carved cranes flew along the frame's edges, their wings almost touching at the top. The shopkeeper appeared beside him with surprising speed. "That is not for sale," she said quietly, her voice flat. When Kaito asked why, she only hesitated, then added, "One glance is all, no more." Drawn by curiosity, he stepped forward and looked. For an instant, he saw only himself in the dim light. But something about the image made his stomach tighten. Before he could focus, the shopkeeper slid the fusuma shut. 2. A reflection out of place. That night, Kaito's thoughts kept drifting back to the mirror. He remembered his own reflection, yet it hadn't been quite right. The light in the image had been harsher, almost daylight, and the background, not the shop at all. Lying in bed, he closed his eyes and tried to picture it. He was standing on a narrow street, wires crisscrossing above, vending machines glowing faintly in the gloom. His clothes were unfamiliar, a light jacket he didn't own, shoes he'd never bought. And there was a strange stillness to the air in that scene, as though the world had paused. When he opened his eyes, the memory left a prickling along his skin. He told himself it was just his imagination, a trick of old glass and dim light. Still, he found himself walking past the shop again the next day, slowing at the sight of the noren swaying in the breeze. Something in him wanted to look again, to confirm what he'd seen, or hadn't seen. 3. The date in the reflection. On his second visit, the shopkeeper frowned but said nothing as Kaito stepped toward the back room. The mirror waited where it had been, its lacquer gleaming faintly in the dimness. He looked. This time the reflection came sharp and clear, the same narrow street, the same strange clothes. But now, further down the street, a white banner hung across a doorway. Bold black kanji spelled out a name he didn't recognize, and beneath it, smaller characters gave a date. It was tomorrow. Kaito felt the cold weight of it sink into his stomach. He turned to the shopkeeper, asking what the mirror was showing him. Her gaze was steady. "Some things," she said, "should not be chased." But the banner's date burned in his mind, and he knew he would not sleep until he found that street. 4. The street from the glass. The search took most of the afternoon. Kyoto's back streets can twist like a maze, and he walked until his feet ached. Finally, he turned a corner and froze. It was the street from the reflection. Every detail matched: the vending machines, the tangle of overhead wires, the shadowed narrowness. And down near the far end, the white funeral banner hung just as it had in the glass. As Kaito approached, a small crowd stood outside the building. Murmurs rose. An accident, they said. A man had been struck by a delivery truck while crossing the main road only minutes before. The name on the banner was his. Kaito's breath caught. He looked down at himself. The same light jacket, the same shoes as in the mirror's vision. And as he turned to leave, his gaze caught on the polished glass of a nearby window. His reflection was pale, almost gray, his eyes fixed not on his own face, but on something behind him. The curse of Kagami-jo. When Kaito returned to the shop, the noren was drawn tight, the door locked. He found the shopkeeper later at a small tea stand and told her everything. She listened in silence, then sighed. "It is called the Kagami-jo," she said. "Once it belonged to a court diviner in the Edo period. They say she could see the deaths of those who came before her. Not the moment itself, but the day before. The mirror does not lie. Those who look into it will see tomorrow's death, whether their own or another's." Kaito asked why she kept it. The woman's eyes narrowed. To keep it from those who would use it for gain, or from fools who cannot leave their own fates alone. Her words followed him long after they parted, because in his mind, one question would not leave him. If the mirror shows tomorrow's death, what happens when tomorrow never comes? In Japanese folklore, mirrors are considered sacred objects, often used in Shinto rituals as vessels for spirits. They are one of the imperial regalia of Japan, symbolizing wisdom and honesty. However, mirrors can also be imbued with darker qualities and ghost stories, serving as portals, traps, or tools of divination. Legends of cursed mirrors often involve them revealing hidden truths or inevitable fates, a reflection that cannot be altered, no matter what is done.